Shalom. With real Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out, prophesying the return of Yahawah BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, waking up our brothers and sisters of Yasharallah, which is Israel, the Native American Indians, the so-called Negroes, and the so-called Latinos. Okay, but this is GMS Chicago, and this is our inaugural episode of this YouTube page, basically exploring the Hebrew. We're all going to, none of us speaks fluent Hebrew. We're still learning, but, we're going to, Yahweh willing, week in and week out, go over the Hebrew alphabet, the different words, and practicing and formations of the Hebrew, so we can just try to learn and get a little better. And the thing is, what's going to happen is, when you're using the blueletterbible.org, and using the Blue Letter Bible, and you start going into the lexicon, and going into the etymology of words, or you use any other programs like ISA, which is the online scripture, it's an interlinear scripture analyzer. You can get it from scripturesforall.org. It goes in, and it shows you all the Hebrew, the English, and then underneath the English they also have the Hebrew, and you can actually, and the Greek, and this is also going to go into the Greek, but that's going to be a little bit later on down the line. So you can go. It's going to basically be going to the Hebrew, the Greek, and when you're reading words and breaking down different words, you're going to start to recognize the words faster. You're going to be able to recognize, different vocabulary, the tenses, and so forth. For instance, if I want to say good morning, I would say, morning in Hebrew is bakwar, all right? And good is tawab. Now in English we would say good morning, but in Hebrew you would say basically bakwar tawab. But since this is active, you'll put a wa in the middle of the bakar, so it would be bawakwar, all right? So you would say bawakwar tawab. And those little things, we're going to start learning. So as we're down the line, but in order to get down the line, we have to build a foundation. And the foundation of Hebrew is the alphabet, the LASHAWAN QADASH. You have, if you can zoom in on it, we have, or just tell me when this is close enough where you can see it. Is this close? You can see it?
A little closer.
All right. You have the LASHAWAN QADASH, where on top you have the Paleo Hebrew. The word Paleo basically just means old, the ancient, right? The zoom is right here, what I'm saying? But don't worry about it. And there's another zoom right here on the side.
Okay.
It's okay. But you have the Paleo Hebrew on top, and then you have the Assyrian Hebrew at the bottom. And so we're going to start off with today we're just going to focus on all writing down the Paleo and the Assyrian alphabet, and then starting off with 5 words that we're going to practice and study, and also writing of your names. Yahweh willing, the more we get into it, we're going to go into the blessings, the curses, being able to write them, being able to say them, the Lord's Prayer, just things just to edify the basic foundations of the Hebrew. So we're going to be working on that, Yahweh willing, and trying to just get better in that. So with no further ado, we're just going to jump straight to it. The pace is going to be kind of quick. I'm going to throw up a letter, basically say what the letter is. We're going to copy it, and then we're going to move on. So because we only want to do this in about an hour and a half. Jake's attention span is kind of slow. Short. So, okay. So with that, no further ado, we're going to start off with Ah. All right. It's the Hebrew letter Ah. They call it Allah. All right. And it almost looks like an A. All right. If you look at it this way, but it's an axe head or an ox head, being significant in first in power and strength. All right, and that's the Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, Allah. All right. Next, moving on, we have the Hebrew letter Ba. Okay. Bayath. Bayath is basically house or tent. The word Ba by itself means in. Like we say, Yahawah BAHASHAM, Ba meaning in. All right. Bayath. Everybody got it? Yeah, you got it. Okay. And we have the third letter is Ga. Gamo. All right. I mean, these are real simple. All right. Everybody got it? All right. The next is Da. It looks like basically a triangle. Dalath. All right. The next one is Ha. And if anybody is going too fast, just let me know. Could you hold it back up? You know.
Slow down just a tad.
Yeah. Just don't feel shy. Okay. All right. It's cool. All right. All right, the next letter is Y. Y. And this is an interesting letter. You got it right here. This is interesting letter because if you go let the Yiddish bastards tell you what this is, they'll say this is a Va. But then when you look at the uses in a lot of the words in the concordance or the Hebrew dictionary, is as a wa. They produce its pronunciation as a wa. But this is one of the reasons why they trying to get people off of the understanding of what a word, the vowels of the Hebrew, not vowels, like it, the letters of the Hebrew alphabet is. There's no V's, there's no U's, there's no B, E's, all right? They have added a lot of letters in the English, which has 26 letters. The Hebrew has 22 letters. Okay? So that's the Wa. Another reason why they try to hide this Wa is because it's part of the Father's name, YAHAWAH. Alright? The next letter is Zayan. Zayan. And it's basically a Z. Okay? The next one is, now this one's a little bit tough, okay? The Kha. The Kha. Can anybody say that?
Ha.
Kha. Alright. It's something you might have to practice a little bit, but it's kind of in the top back of the mouth. And the best way to remember how to say it is think of the word Bach, or I like to say how Eddie Murphy used to joke on saying, "Don't be hacking on my food." You know what I'm saying? That ha, that's the letter ha. Ha. So just practice it, and with time you will get it, because we are Israelites. We try to master everything that we do. It's kind of the spirit the Lord has given us. The next one is Ta. Ta. All right. I know, right? And that is the symbol they use for the X-Men. Also, I believe the history of this word goes into basket. So it's kind of look like a basket, something to carry something. Ta. And you'll find a lot of these symbols out in the world, and for different companies or different, like you said, X-Men or things like that, because Esau knows what this is, And if you want to bring that out, this is what you're getting is the actual Paleo Hebrew and the true pronunciations versus the Yiddish. And the brother just pulled up the definition, if you can read it.
Yes, it says Yiddish a kind of mixed German and Hebrew language spoken by Jews and printed in Hebrew characters.
Right. So they basically took a mixture of German, English, and Hebrew and put them on top of our Hebrew characters and added vowel points, and especially in the Assyrian Hebrew, and called it their own. So instead of saying Khan, which means right or correct or yes, affirmative, they say Cain. And instead of saying Tawab, which is good, they say Tob. You know? And they just changed, it's a slight variation, which is bullshit. It's just wickedness. All right? But this is Yah, one of the precious letters, because this is the beginning of the Father's name. And it's also a star constellation in the sky. You can see this every night in the sky. And it's even in the scriptures that, you know, his name is written in the heavens. All right? The next is Ka. They have two different ways you can write this. That's why I have both of them. You will see some Paleo Hebrew with the character on top. Then you'll see some with the one on the bottom. And both are correct. And both are known as to be the Ka. Alright. The next is the La, Lamad. And this also has two different, disregard the little dot. That dot doesn't mean anything on top of that, the L. But it's the La, and it's like a L or a shepherd's rod or a cane. Because Lamad is to teach, to basically to teach or direct. All right. Everybody got that? All right. The next in the Paleo is the Ma. The Mam. Ma. And if you can almost see the M right here. You know, a lot of these are not too far off from the so-called English. All right. Because people forget that Hebrew was the original language, period. That's why the so-called ancient Phoenicians spoke Hebrew. You know, before the flood, we spoke Hebrew. And Most High, after in Genesis 10th chapter, when he divided the nations and the Tower of Babel, or Babel, or Babal, changed the languages and confounded everyone and separated it. Because first of all, this is a holy language, and the Most High knew what he was doing. He wanted things to be separate. He didn't want everybody to be together, because everybody's not the same. All right? That's the Ma. The Na is almost like the Ma, but you can kind of see the Na, the N, the Nan right there. And anybody who finds they're a Hebrew Israelite by blood, which is a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, should be delighted to be able to go into their original alphabet, their history, and kind of learn it. This is actually, to me, it's fun. I mean, I delight in learning my ancient alphabets and my language. Right? This is the Sa, Samach. All right. Now it's just thorn. It's a thorn. But Sa. And the reason why I have those two at the bottom, because I've seen in some books it says, call it Samach or Samech, but there's no E's in Hebrew, so I took all the E's and out, you know, and then I seen just Samah. So, I mean, it's what it is. Yahawah willing, when we get back in the kingdom, we're going to have our ancient language perfectly. We're going to know it. All right?
I'm gonna more than likely on that day, when we get those new bodies, you know, hopefully that we're among that. we'll get our language back at that point too.
Absolutely.
Because we can't go on the chairs with these bodies.
And
the angels are not going to be speaking English.
That's right.
Or Spanish.
That's right.
You know.
Or Yiddish.
Or Greek or Yiddish. That's right.
This is the eye. It's called ayan, eye. All right. This is the pa, paya, pa, which is basically mouth. It looks like a mouth that's open. Pa. All right. This is the Tazah. Tazah. And I've heard brothers say Taza. All right. Tazah or Taza. This is like when you say Aratazah. But you know, some brothers will say Arataza. That's because, you know, when we're learning this, some brothers learn it one way, some learn it the other way. So you kind of listen and hear and do the best that you can. But it's a Taza, all right? Tazadia. This is the Kwa. The Kwa. You can almost see the Q right there, you know? But it's the Q, the Kwa. Alright. And now the Ra. Rash. Head. Alright.
Like the Fantastic Four.
Right.
You see
Yeah.
where they get everything from.
That's right. This is the Shah. Or the Shan. Shah. And you can see these characters in the Assyrian in Psalms 119. Alright? Where we're going to get into the Assyrian right after this 22nd letter. Alright? And the final one is the Tha. Almost looks like an X with the elongated, one of the lines is kind of elongated, which means a little bit longer than the other one. But the Tha. This also means mark. Okay. The Tha. Alright. So that is the Assyrian, it's like the Paleo Hebrew. I don't know if you want to look along with this, because now we're going to just say the alphabet in the Hebrew, looking at what you have just written. Looking at what you just written. And we're just going to repeat it a couple of times, so kind of get into your head. One of the ways that we learned it, and one of the ways that we learned it was basically not doing it A, B, C, D, E, F, G like English, but we did it in a kind of a rhythm, you know, and it was simply Abagada Hawaza Khataya Kalamana Sa'aipa Tazakwara Shatha. And basically repeating it, learning how to say it and repeat it so we can get the word, the alphabet ingrained in our mind, and then also the identification of the characters in our mind as well. So let's just say them. You can go read it along with them if you have it written down. What we just wrote. Everybody. Ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, ta. One more time. Ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, ta. And that's 22 characters. And just a note, and we'll get to this when we go into the numbers, the first like 9 numbers are Ah, and Ah also means 1. Ba also means 2. Ga means 3. Ha means 4. Da means 4. Ha means 5, and etc. And then it changes after you get up to 9 and then 10 and so forth. But when we go over the numbers, Yahweh willing, we'll get into that. Just a little nuance in what's going on. So, now that we have written the Paleo, you'll find out there is a website, I think, called Parallel Hebrew, Old Testament Hebrew or something. I think it's called Parallel Old Testament Hebrew. And you can find the scriptures in the Paleo Hebrew. All right? But majority...
Put that on the group me.
The majority of the sites that you're going to find in Hebrew going into the scriptures are going to be in Assyrian. The blue letter uses Assyrian. E-Swords, to my knowledge, uses the Assyrian. Basically, My Swords app on your phone. If you don't have that, you need that. My Swords app is an app so it's called My Swords. And then you need to download the Strongs and all that in part of the download when you download the app. They have the Strongs in there, and then they use the Hebrew, the Assyrian Hebrew. But you got to be careful with them and the blue letter. Sometimes instead of Hebrew is written from right to left. All right, Hebrew is written from right to left. All right, and sometimes you'll see them writing it left to right and right to left. They switch it up depending on the word because they're wicked. All right? Everything the white man does is wicked. Because anytime you mix good and bad, truth and lies, you leave the other person to decipher what is true and what's a lie, which is wickedness. Because the Most High teaches truth. All right? And the scripture, John 4:20-22 says, the Most High basically demands of us to worship Him in spirit and in truth. So if you're not getting the whole truth, you're full of shit, and you're getting bullshit. All right. So now we're going to go into the Assyrian Hebrew, which is what you're going to end up using the most. I start off with the Paleo because that's the original, but what you're going to see the most is the Assyrian. So you're going to start off with the Assyrian. All right. And the first character in the Assyrian is Ah. Alright. It's not an X. If you look at it, it kind of does look like an X, but it's not. It has a line that goes from here down, and then you have a like a little squiggly one that goes here, and then one little offset that goes up. Alright? And that's the lot. Alright. The next one is the Ba. Alright. Is the Bayath or Ba. And this is one cure, before I found the elders lexicon of GMS, which was taken down, and I think another brother from Nebraska has put up lexicon GMS re-up on YouTube. Before I found the elders breakdowns of the alphabet, I asked the Most High because I was speaking in Yiddish, trying to learn the Hebrew when I first came into the truth, almost 5 years ago, and I was saying Tob and Cain and so forth, but my spirit wasn't at ease with it. And I prayed to the Lord and said, Father, teach me, tell me if I'm going off, and because I want the real Hebrew, because I'm suspecting this something's not right. And
the Spirit was telling me.
And there were certain letters that I just wasn't getting. So I went into the Psalms 119. I went into the concordance, the Strong's Concordance, the big thick one, the white one, and went into the Hebrew dictionary where all the words of the Bible are in the Hebrew and the Greek are in. And I started just exploring, going from page to page, looking here and there, and I started finding the anomalies, and basically the letters in that of these names were contained the sound that they are, just like will make sense. The alap, when you say alap, you say alap. The first sound that you hear is ah. Now I'm not going to put a Hebrew letter that's a word that's got 7 letters in it and the word is I'm making up something that'll be like alaf bayaf taf dalaf an, and that's one word. It don't make no sense. So I'm like, well, no, you get the sound from what the name of the word is, the name of the letter, you get that sound from it. So if the letter is bayath, it must be ba. And the Spirit told me that. And I was off 3 letters. When I watched the elders, I think I was off on the taza, I was off on the thaw, and I was off on like another one. I can't remember which the other one I was off on.
The tie. You had the tie and the thigh confused.
Right, I got the thaw and the tha. That brother was around, so he knew when we was both going through all this. I had the thaw, the ta, and the taza off because
working with you, brother.
And because it was it's kind of tough when you come in because they got the TS. They'll say TS and they'll say, and so I'm like, zzz, zzz, what's going on? But I was trying, and then when I found the elders' breakdowns, it comforted me because first I got the correction I needed, and then 2, the most I was dealing, and I was right on the other 19, so I was excited. So this is the ba. As you see, it almost looks like a B if you was to put a line right down here, and you have a little look. It looks almost like a little B. You know what I'm saying?
Small character B.
Kind of small character B, which is another bullshit because they don't have no big character, small character in the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? It just show you white man is really retarded, man. All right, that's the ba. All right, the next character is the ga. Don't look that one yet. The next one is the ga, and you'll find that it basically is a gamo. All right. Now I will make a note that when you're looking at different, could you give me another one of these markers over there? Yeah, that one. When you're looking at different Assyrian scripts on the internet, they're going to slightly differ in thickness and in style, but from
cause confusion.
But for the most part, it's very similar. All right, and if the Spirit allows me, if I can find some examples in the editing and post-production, I will try to find some examples just to let you see it. But you'll see some are very thick, or some might just be just one simple line, boom, boom, instead of showing kind of thicknesses and or variations in it. All right, just to let you know. It takes practice, so don't get discouraged when you look and say, well, that don't look like the same one that I've seen. All right. The next character is the da. All right. Or dalaf. All right, and in the da, it's almost